All right, my favorite word. Good for whom it is afternoon. Hello, Julia Chorna. I'm a marketing specialist at Grade Education Center. And I'd like to know where you are watching us from, and if you can see my presentation and if you can hear well. So just type the country or the place where you are now. Moldova. Right. Any other places? Okay, Drohobych. Kyiv, the sound is not good. It's a pity. Dnipro, Poland. Okay, how about now? Canada, London. Wow. So we have so many awesome teachers with us today. All right, I just returned from my holiday. Are you guys on holiday right now? It isn't good enough. Yeah, someone is happening to my internet. Maternity leave, longing for a no, all right. There are a lot of teachers who are eager to learn during holidays, and it's a perfect time for professional development. So actually we are here for a webinar on teaching English to IT. And I'm sure that many of you are interested in this topic, and I'm sure this event will be useful for both of you who just think about switching to IT, and for those of you who have already been in IT for some time, right? We've invited a speaker who is an expert in teaching English to IT. I will introduce her a little bit later, but before that, I will tell you a few words about what we are going to do today. So not for you to ask about certificates and all the things that you will get during this fruitful event. So all of you have been registered, and you will receive the materials, the certificates, and the recording, of course, after this webinar today. But we have a new rule. In order to get the certificate, you will have to take a short test from our speaker, and then it will be generated in your personal cabinet on our website, grade.ua. You will receive all the links after the event is ended. If you don't find it in your inbox, please check the spam, because it often drops there. So make sure you have done all the things to get your certificates, recording, and materials. I'm sure that Lyubov has prepared a lot of interesting. Oh, thank you. Connection is better. Thank you very much for your feedback. Great. Lyubov has prepared very interesting materials for you. So I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm introducing the speaker of today's webinar, Lyubov Muntyan. Hello, Lyuba.
Hi there. Happy to see you and to hear you today.
Yeah, happy to see you too. And this is our first webinar with the guest speaker, and the topic is really interesting. And I hope that we will have many more meetings like this, because we would like to make great teacher training a place for teachers to learn from teachers. So not only from great teachers, right? All right, I'm giving the floor to Lyubov now. Lyubov Muntyan is a head educator at SoftServe IT company. She will tell you more about herself. And actually, I hope you enjoy this session. I will just return to you in the end, and I will be here to help you with all the things you need in the chat too. So please welcome Lyubov Muntan.
Thank you, Yulia, for a great introduction. I'm super happy and privileged to be here today, and I'm elated to see quite a lot of familiar faces and quite a lot of new faces here. I really hope that the webinar will be useful for you. And I will share my screen, and I believe we can start. And before we start, I really would like to have, very short checkup how you're feeling today. So, dear all, on this alpaca scale, where are you today? So you can share in the chat the number if you want. You can also share how you're feeling and why you're feeling so. Okay, I see quite a lot of people who feel like alpaca number 1, number 5, also number 2. Okay, I see. Great. And a lot of people who are as excited as I am. Okay, that's cool. And I'm really happy to see that we don't have any people feeling like alpaca number 9. That's really good sign. So thank you a lot for sharing. Great, Zan. So let's start. And as you all know, today we are going to talk about teaching English for AT, and we will talk about challenges that you may face here and also opportunities. I'm really passionate about teaching English for AT. I have been doing it for 4 years at SoftServe, and to be honest, this new career path has opened a lot of new opportunities for me and has helped me a lot to develop. So I believe that today I will share my experience, and you will feel as excited about it as I feel. And also, before I start talking about my experience, I would like to ask you to follow that link that I'm sharing and share what experience in teaching you have. Also, if it's a little bit more user-friendly for you, you can follow the link, or you can just go to menti.com and enter the code. I will be waiting for some responses there. I guess it can take some time, but we will be waiting. Okay, let me know if the link works for you. Okay. So can you follow that link? Hopefully very soon we will be able to see first answers. Okay. Does it work, dear all? It may take some time. Okay, for some of you it works. Okay. Just give me a second. I will try to reshare the link. Maybe it will work. Okay. Here you go. So could you please try again? Okay. So I can see that this time it works because some of you have already joined. Okay, so we have a couple of answers here. Okay, I have been teaching for 7 years. Some of you have experience of teaching both business English and general English. Okay, some of you have no experience in teaching for AT, as I can understand. 15 years, 11 years, quite a lot of mature and experienced people here. That's cool. There is a lot of room for improvement. We can see one comment. Yeah, definitely agree. And you know what? I believe that teaching profession is, a place where you always will find something to learn, and you will always find possibilities for improvement. Thank you a lot. Thank you a lot for your comments and for taking time to write them. Great. So I also would like to share what experience I have and why I have decided to share this experience and expertise with you. As Julia has already mentioned, I'm a team lead and lead educator at Software University. Also, I have 12 years of experience in teaching. I mean, both general English and business English, or also English for IT. And also, I have a certification of a neuro-language coach accredited by International Coaching Federation. I also have some academic experience, so it's really cool that I can see some familiar faces, people who actually worked with me at Trinity National University. That was my previous workplace where I got a degree in Germanic languages. And if we talk about teaching English in IT, I have been working for SoftServe for 4 years. I started my career as a junior teacher, then I got promoted to middle position, senior one. And right now I'm a team lead of a group of teachers, and I have quite a lot of different responsibilities, but I really like that my responsibilities are quite different. I conduct a lot of webinars, and also I am one of people who are responsible for implementing coaching practices at our language school. We also develop quite a lot of tailored courses, and I am really passionate about it. And recently we even have recorded quite a lot of podcasts. By the way, I will share with you one pager. It will be shared as a follow-up where you will have a possibility to get a little bit more information, where you can find the resources, and also you will be able to listen to our podcasts. And let me also tell you a little bit more about our agenda today. So, as you know, we will be talking about the most typical challenges for teachers in IT, how to transform these challenges into opportunities. As I have this certification of a language coach, I will happily share some of coaching techniques that you can use at your classes. And even if you're not going to teach English for IT, I guess all of these techniques will be super useful when it comes to teaching in general. And also we will have time to address your questions. So don't hesitate to share your question in the chat. If something crosses your mind, yeah, you're welcome to share that question. And before I start talking about challenges and solution to these challenges, I would like to share my story, how I was starting my career in IT. To be honest, when I just started working for SoftServe, I was a little bit stressed out because having academic background, I thought that maybe teaching English for IT specialists would be something like teaching English for a bunch of aliens, really. But to be honest, they are really open-minded people. And right now I feel far more confident what topics to offer, where to find the materials, and how not to spend so much time on preparation. So let's start. As I have just said, the first challenge can be that you may not understand exactly what IT workers do. And when I was starting and I joined my first classes, I really had the challenge that there were numerous terms that I couldn't understand. And I spent quite a lot of time just, watching a lot of YouTube videos. I subscribed to some YouTube channels just to understand what they do. But, if I had had an opportunity to join this webinar today, I believe that I would have spent less time. So what can we do to understand what IT specialists do and how we can help them to meet their needs in terms of learning the language? First of all, I believe that conducting that first kickoff session, the meeting where you will get acquainted with people and also ask them about their needs, will definitely be a good idea. For sure, you will have to ask questions, and today I will share these questions with you. And you will have to listen actively to understand what their needs are. I also would recommend even taking some notes while you are having your kickoff session, not to forget what people were sharing and what exactly they would like to see and to learn at your classes. Asking for feedback is actually a brilliant idea. And here I don't mean just your kickoff meeting. IT specialists are really accustomed to giving feedback. And if you ask them to share how they feel about your classes, they will definitely do it. And you will receive really useful information how you can improve. And if we talk about kickoff meeting, the first goal here is to define why these IT professionals came to you and what expectations they have. Also, you will have a chance to set a clear plan to achieve the goals. And if we talk about goals, here I have a couple of questions that can be useful for your kickoff meeting, or just, you know, that primary meeting before starting the course that you will have with your students, or with a student if you're going to conduct some kind of individual session. So the first question might be, why have you decided to start a course? Sounds like a very simple thing, but very often we may forget about asking it. And here I would definitely recommend to dig a little bit deeper into the motivation of your students and ask precisely what motivations they have. You can use this coaching technique to ask them to tell you motivation on the scale from 1 to 10. And when you receive the answer, you can also ask what is behind this motivation, right? This will give you better understanding of what they need. One more question that can be useful can be, what do you use English for? And here I mean something really specific. Maybe you will have to clarify, and you will have to ask your students to tell you about situations when they don't feel very confident at their meetings or at other working occasions that they may have. One more question that I find really useful is, what else? You may think that it's really simple one, but believe me, if you ask it, and if you wait for a couple of seconds to give this space for your students to reflect on it, you will really receive quite a lot of ideas what exactly they need and why they have decided to join your course. Also, don't forget to sum up everything you hear. On one side, you will summarize everything, and you will do it for yourself just to understand the needs. And on the other side, your students will hear from another person why they have come here, and it will really encourage them to study better. Concerning other things that you can do after a kickoff meeting, you can decide how you will sum up everything in a very structured way. And here I'm sharing an invitation to my group class, and you can see that I have written down the level of motivation of my students and also why they have decided to join the course. Why I have decided to do it. First of all, every time when they open the invitation, they will be able to see why they are here, why they are spending time to learn English, what their motivation is. And of course, it will help them to commit to their goals and to feel a little bit more accountable for the results. And if we talk about individual classes, I guess that you can even prepare even more detailed plan. You can also include the topics that you are going to take so that it will be easier for you and for them as well. So when they open the invitation, they can understand precisely what they are going to do. Okay, then. I hope that we covered this challenge. And next challenge can be finding relevant materials. And I do believe that this challenge is not only related to teaching English for IT, but it's related to our profession, right? What can be the solution to it? For sure, if we talk about teaching English for IT, there is quite a wide range of course books where you can find brilliant cases that are ready and you can just take and use them at your classes. And quite a lot of good vocab. You will not have to look for some additional materials. At least you can start with some course books. Also, you can ask your students what kind of activities they would like to have. In most cases, IT specialists have had some learning experience, I mean, in terms of learning English, and they understand pretty clearly what activities can be useful for them and what exactly they would like to do, what will work for them. However, if you feel that you have tried this idea of your student and it didn't work, you may offer something else. Listening actively is definitely a must, and asking for feedback can help you to understand the needs a little bit better. And when it comes to next challenge that you may have, it's related to customizing materials. In particular, if we talk about individual classes, many IT workers would like to have individual classes just because they are pressed out of time and they believe that it can be a little bit more resultative for them. So in what way you can do that, not spending a lot of time? First of all, you can take some cases and for materials from books. And by the way, all of these books that I have already mentioned, they will be in one-pager. So right now you don't need to write any titles down. You can just listen, you will receive everything. And also, we are really lucky to live in the age when we have this brilliant opportunity to use AI-based platforms that can be super helpful when it comes to generating some materials. And here I mean GPT, chat, and we. We will come back to these two AI-based platforms a little bit later. And one more idea that you can try using is reusing materials that you create for different levels. What do I mean here? For sure, if you work with upper intermediate students, you may have quite a lot of materials ready. For instance, you have a video and you have a couple of questions related to that. If you would like to use the same video for your intermediate students, what you can do, you can simplify your questions, or maybe you can just ask your students to listen for the gist, to understand the main idea. And it can really save your time. You will not have to invest so much time into preparation. And if we talk about GPT chat, I'm sure that many of you have already tried using it. Here I will offer just a couple of ideas that you can use. First of all, you can ask GPT chat to generate cases for you. Here, what should you pay your attention to is you should be really specific. So if you are asking GPT chat to create a case for you, you will have to mention the roles that you would like to have. For example, please generate a role play situation between a tech lead and soft serve developer, or a tech lead and a project manager. They will be talking about deadlines and will try to find a compromise. If you have really strict requirements, GPT chat can be super helpful, but just don't give very general requests because it may be not that precise as you would like to be. And also what you can do, you can ask GPT chat to generate plan for the lesson. I mean, just to write, please generate plan for upper intermediate level on the topic of negotiations. And maybe the plan will not be perfect, but believe me, you can take and use it. Maybe you will just add some additional materials, or you can also ask to generate some vocab activities. One more AI-based platform that I really adore using is TWE. To be honest, I have recently opened it, and if in GPT chat you have to be very precise with your request, here you just go there and everything is almost ready. So this platform was actually created specifically for teachers, and they already have platforms for reading, listening, and speaking, and it can be really lifesaver and time saver as well. What you can do there? You can create grammar and vocab exercises. You can create quite a lot of customized materials. And also just, to show how it can work, I would like to share how I usually do it. For sure, I believe that the best idea here is just start using it, and then you will understand pretty well how what will be the best way for you to do it. But right now, I will share my screen and will show you this, I would say, basic functionalities that they have. So as you can see, you can save materials that you create. They are called latest project, so that you can come back to them a little bit later. For instance, recently I had a class about the cancel culture, and I just entered the topic. I decided to take text as a genre, and also you can decide on the level you would like to have. A target vocabulary is optional, so if you have some target vocab, you can enter it. If not, it's not a must. And you can see what a brilliant text TWE generated for me. Also, vocab is highlighted. What you can do further on with this text? So for sure, you can just ask your students to read the text, to get acquainted with that, and after it, maybe you will have a discussion around it. However, I really like using word wall. Maybe you have heard about such a resource. And concerning word wall, I will show you already prepared activity just for understand what I did to have it ready. So I entered the text. I highlighted these keywords that were important for me, that I was planning to pay attention to with my students. And then I can share this activity with my students. So I will just press start to show you how it can work. So here we have the vocab, and they will have to fill in the gaps. One more opportunity that word wall can give to you is that you can also assign it as homework. So it can be super easy, super user friendly, and you just set assignment. You can decide whether you will have leaderboard or not, and then word wall will check everything automatically. So it's really, really great time saver. However, let's come back to TWE, because like what I have shared with you was already created materials, but you can see that we have reading, vocab, writing, speaking, grammar, and listening here. And I believe very often we spend a lot of time looking for some videos and then writing down some questions related to the video. Here you have a couple of activities that will be generated almost automatically. So I have opened listening, and let's imagine that I would like to create some materials for my speaking class, and I already know what kind of video I would like to discuss with my students, or also it can be homework, of course. So what I will do, I will copy the link of that video that I would like to use. Then I will enter the link here. And then I press this really magical button. And here we go. We have 10 questions ready. And now you may start thinking, okay, if I haven't watched the video, how can I discuss it with my students? But here we go. We also have answers, right? So as you can see, you can save quite a lot of time. By the way, have you already used TWE? You can share in the chat. Have you already created some lessons in TWE, or maybe just you have used it in a different way? I can see some likes. Okay, many of you. Concerning TWE, it's free of charge. I can see that we already have a question. So yeah, it's totally free and it's brilliant. Concerning word wall, it's really cheap, ridiculously cheap. It's something like 140 hryvnias per month or so, but it's really worth it. You know, like it's really interactive, and yeah, you can use it a lot and it can be useful. I can see that some of you have already used them. That's great. That's great. I think that we can move on. Happy to see that many of you have already used these great platforms. And we are approaching one of the biggest challenges of our students. Many teachers who have worked with adult learners may understand that they have really very little time. And very often I can hear, okay, there is no sense even to assign homework just because students are super busy and they will not mind for that. However, if we ask ourselves a question, do we find time for something that is really relevant for us? Yeah, we will find time for that. So the first thing here is that we always find time for something that is our priority. However, here our role as a teacher and as a trainer will be to help your students to understand why they need English. Maybe they need it for promotion. Many IT specialists need it for promotion. Maybe they have some other motivation. And in this case, coaching questions can help you discover or maybe to rediscover their motivation. And as I mentioned, you can use coaching questions at kickoff meeting. However, I very often ask my students about motivation after a few classes or maybe somewhere in the middle of the course when I feel that they are not that motivated as they were in the beginning. And here, these coaching questions can be really helpful. Here, it's important to give time for your students to think. So for instance, if you ask that question, if you have the level you strive for, what will it change? For sure, it's quite a philosophical question. So maybe it will take some time to reflect on it and to address it. Also, you can ask something like, what will change in your life if you achieve the desired level of English? Or you can get a little bit deeper into motivation. And we are moving on. And we have one more challenge here about choosing topics to engage students. As I mentioned, if you're only starting teaching for IT, it can be difficult for you to understand what exactly they need. But again, the first thing that you can do, use some ideas from kickoff meeting. And that's why it is really great if you have some notes, if you store your notes somewhere. Planning carefully is really important because it may happen that your students will tell you really wide topic. For instance, I would like to improve English for meetings, but English for meetings actually can contain quite a lot of things. So you may ask them, can you tell me more about situations when you feel you lack language? What exactly you do at work? And then if they mention quite a lot of topics, you will just try to define maybe 5 topics that will be your priorities, or maybe 6 if it's, you know, longer course. Some topics will be always relevant, and I will share with you a couple of topics that you can offer for junior IT specialist and for senior IT specialist or team leads. In a minute, I am going to do it. So if we talk about a junior or middle IT specialist, here you can offer English for meetings, making suggestions, brainstorming, expressing your opinion, and also reacting to some ideas mentioned, reporting time or status. In most cases, they do it at their daily meetings. And very often they talk about issues, challenges, deadlines. So this topic also can be really good to offer them. If we talk about senior IT specialists, project managers, tech leads, or team leads, a little bit different topics can be interesting for them. And here I mean conflict management, leadership and their understanding of leadership, strategic goals, persuasion and ways to persuade. Very often they will have to persuade their clients or to persuade other team members to do something, and language to sound softer and polite. All of these topics you will receive as a follow-up. But also I would like to talk about one more challenge that we may face. It's also the challenge that I believe we all have heard about. Okay, so it seems that people were ready to join our webinar, even being super busy, and I'm super happy that you have found time to do it. Okay, so let's talk about grammar. Many of you may have noticed that if we talk about variety of activities, when it comes to grammar, it's not that varied, just because usually it's some kind of exercises or fill-in activities that will be not that engaging as vocab activities. However, here, I would say the main idea is to get your students curious about grammar and to offer some interactive things that they can do. For instance, you can use some games to introduce grammar or to revise some topics. You can also use quizzes. IT workers, they really adore playing, and they are really eager to join grammar classes if you offer them something special. However, I would like to show you some ideas how you can make grammar a little bit more interactive and what you can do. First of all, let's imagine that you have to assign your students some grammar rules. For sure, it's not a very exciting thing to discuss rules, even if you do exercises together. But what if you assign a game for them, or you will play a game on the rules at class? As I told, WordWall is a great tool. And here, if you want, you can also put a tick here to have a leaderboard so that they feel competitive. And believe me, the results will even exceed your expectations, because in most cases, they really want to win. What else you can do? You can think of different activities. For instance, we know that learning irregular verbs can be a tedious task for most students. But what if you offer them a crossword? It can be really something new for them, and it will really sparkle this interest to grammar. For sure, you can also use quizzes. a word wall or any other, I don't know, resources that you may have used for other classes. But even without games, you can find ways how to make it efficient. For instance, you're learning a new grammar topic and you don't have a lot of relevant materials. I mean, all of these exercises are not related to IT, but you can just ask your students to brainstorm how they can use grammar at work. In particular, maybe some of them will tell you that, oh, I report my time and I report my tasks, but I have never thought that I was not using present perfect. So I can do it. I will be talking about results, and next time we have this daily meeting, I will be more confident about it. Also here, it's important to give your students time to think about it, because it can be a little bit time consuming, but worth it. Yeah, and I can see a comment from Solomia, grammar memes are memorable. Yeah, they are brilliant, really brilliant. And the more emotional we are, the better we will remember. So it will be easier for us to commit it to our memory. What else you can do? You can offer quizzes to play in teams. It also can sparkle this interest to grammar. So you will be able, you know, just to show how they can use it and what they can do. Okay, let's move on. One more thing that I would like to share with you today is the topic of possible traps. We all, when we start something new, we can make some mistakes, or, you know, after teaching English for IT for 4 years, I have made quite a lot of conclusions, and I wish I had known everything I know now when I was starting my career. The first trap that you can get into is taking too many topics. As I mentioned, very often your students can tell you, okay, I want to take everything. I want to take English for meetings, English for negotiations. Softening language will be great for me. However, you should be ready to understand and to help your students to understand the priorities. In particular, if the course is not too long. For instance, if you have 30 classes, maybe it will make sense just to take 5 or 6 topics, to have time to revise, to sum up everything, and then you will be able to see really great outcomes. If you have too many topics, I'm not sure that students will be able to use what they learn at work, because it will take a lot of time. They will have to put a lot of effort into that, and not always it will be something actionable. So the tip will be less is more. Very often it's better to take fewer topics, but to have better results than to take a lot of them. And for that, we need clear goals that can be defined or at kickoff meeting, or just at your classes when you are having discussions with your students. One more thing is sticking to a plan. As I mentioned, when we have a plan, it's really makes our life easier. Just because we understand, okay, I have 5 topics, I need to cover them, and I have so many classes to do. If your students will, if your students start offering some new topics, new ideas, you can ask them, okay, would you like to take this topic instead of that topic that we agreed on at our kickoff meeting? If the question is yes, be ready to adjust. If they start thinking about it, maybe it just, that on the spot ideas that they had, and that's it. So in that case, plan will be super useful. Also, don't forget to recycle what you have learned and revise it. In what way you can do it? For sure, you can think of some games for revision, or you can ask them to do some additional activities or exercises. What I personally like doing is playing some games for revision. You can see that I have started showing one more tool that I use. It's Bamboozle. Maybe you have heard of it. And in what way I usually do it? I create a game there. So actually, you can use this tool in different ways. You can use it just as flashcards. And in that case, you can share it with your students and they will use it to revise something at home. You can see that if we press, we can see correct answers. But what you can also try doing is playing games. It's totally free. They have some limited amount of activities that you can create. But if you have already created some activities, you can delete previous ones and you can create new ones. So it's a trick not to pay, okay, for the subscription. And here you can choose to play in 2 teams. And let's try this quiz. And you can see that we have team 1, team 2. You can also ask your students to think of some creative names, yeah, so that they really feel this team spirit. For instance, let it be tigers and alpacas, right? And then, okay, they will open cards. If they are ready with the answer and the answer is correct, you will press OK, and you will score. They will score points. I noticed that IT workers really like playing, and it's just a brilliant way to engage them and to have this team spirit. Yeah, Kahoot is great. Thank you a lot, Tasya Hilevich, if I have pronounced your name correctly. Yeah, Kahoot is also great, so you can decide what tool you will use. So engaging is really essential if you would like to have engaging and interesting classes. Quizzes can be helpful for that. Also, don't forget that variety is crucial. Don't try just to stick to one plan always and just offer them the same activities. Even if you offer the same games, they can get bored. So it will be a nice idea to change activities. Oh yeah, we have one more comment. I often use Bamboozle and ISL Collective video games. Yeah, they are really great. Also like using these tools. So yeah, Jirol, you can also add it to your list. Sometimes just asking open questions can be great idea because students will feel involved and interested in what you are doing. And one more thing is to make them work in a group. Nothing new, but here you don't need a lot of your involvement. Maybe you will have just to divide them into breakout rooms if you work in Zoom. Or just divide in smaller groups, it will also work. Don't forget to shuffle students so that they have new communication partners every time when they play. And it can be, yeah, super cool thing to try. But right now, I really would like to hear more from you. Do you have any questions or comments? You're welcome to speak up or enter them in a chat. I will be super happy to address them.
I have a question while our teachers are typing their questions, actually. All right, and we will see if they have some ideas in the chat box too. I also taught IT specialist for a while. And for me, the biggest challenge was that very often in the group of students, you have students with multiple levels. So how can we deal with this challenge?
Yeah, first of all, I wouldn't recommend really big gap in these levels. I mean, if you have, for instance, intermediate and upper in your group, it's okay, you know, but if you have like pre-intermediate and upper, that can be really difficult. One more thing that you can do when you start working with students and you understand who are students whose level is a little bit lower, when you divide them in breakout rooms, do it manually so that students who have lower levels work with the same level, and students who have higher level will work with the same level, approximately, of course. It will really encourage them, and without doing it, they can feel a little bit demotivated. I mean, in particular, if they have upper intermediate level and they hear that language that is not upper intermediate, but it's still possible. You know, we are so happy to have breakout rooms, to have so many different activities that you can always find a way out.
Yeah, and for me, the way out was like to pre-test the students before I started teaching them, actually, so that I can imagine what levels they have and what I have to work with too. Yeah, thank you very much. We have a question from Victoria Morochovec. What platform do you use for your classes to put the materials on?
I use Google Classroom, just because I can store my materials in a very structured way there. However, you know, I know quite a lot of people can use, quite a lot of people who use different platforms. Some of them use Padlet, and they find it really brilliant solution. They can reuse it for different groups. So I believe that it will depend on your preferences and of course on your experience. But yeah, there are a lot of platforms that you can use.
Yeah, thank you. I got one more question. We'll help you with the chat. Do you use AdVibe for your IT classes? It's a question from Katarina.
No, I don't use, but I guess that I would be happy to use it. So this is something new. So thank you a lot. It seems that I also will have quite a lot of insights.
Yeah, I have a question from myself too. Again, regarding the topics that we often discuss with IT specialists. I remember that one of my students was telling me that one of his clients was offended because he didn't have a small talk with him during the call. So is it useful to introduce the topic of cultural differences when teaching IT specialists? And maybe you can recommend some resources.
Definitely. I believe that cultural differences is actually the topics that all IT specialists will need. And concerning the materials that you can find, just give me a second. I will share one great YouTube channel and also a podcast concerning cultural differences. You know, they are essential, just because if people don't understand cultural differences, definitely they may have a problem like when they communicate. And it's not only related to small talks. Of course, small talks, they are crucial. It's related to quite a lot of other things: how to give feedback, how to receive feedback, how to manage conflict situations. So cultural differences, I would say, are a must if you work with IT specialist.
Thank you. We have one more. We have actually a lot of questions. I will pick up one of them. What kind of communication style is preferable for such groups? It's a question from Juliana.
Thank you. Brilliant, brilliant question. You know, I would say that when I teach my students, I feel more as a facilitator, not a teacher. I feel like their communication partner, or a facilitator that can help them to, to learn. I don't feel myself as a teacher because, these people, they are so open-minded. They already know a lot. In most cases, they have high level of English. So sometimes you will help them just to discover some nuances of communication, cultural differences, some functional language. So be ready that you will have that role of a facilitator when you have your English classes.
Yeah, thank you so much. We have the third speaker, I guess, with us today. Okay, good. You mentioned that IT specialists are very busy, and we have a question, and I can confirm that it's really true. They never have time for anything. Anastasia is asking if you usually set homework when teaching adults and IT specialists, I guess, too.
Of course I do. And I will tell you more. Usually, I would say 70% of my students, they do homework. For sure, you should ask at kickoff meeting how much time is okay for you to spend to prepare for a class. Yeah, it's a great idea to ask them. But then you can just write down that, okay, we have agreed that you will invest, for instance, an hour or half an hour to prepare for the classes, and then you will motivate them. And if we talk about the amount of homework, it really can be different. It will be different depending on the needs, depending on the classes that I have. I usually don't have more than, I don't know, 4 let it be tasks to do, but they also can be different. I even have, I have just opened my homework for advanced group, and you can see that I have assigned to learn the words, to do some tests on the word, to watch the video, right? So not a lot of things, but actually, I guess it will take them up to 1 hour. And still, be ready that if they haven't done homework, it's also okay to continue the class. You can ask students, for instance, who have watched the video to share their insights with others, and then you can have real heated discussion around it. So it's not a problem if they haven't done. Don't make them feel guilty, because sometimes it really may happen that they were busy.
Yeah, thank you. And probably the last question, but it's very important because it's like a myth around among teachers. And actually, when I started teaching IT specialists after teaching primary learners, it was like cold shower, actually. Most teachers who would like start teaching IT specialists, they are afraid of that technical jargon that IT specialists use. Can you comment on that? Like, should they be afraid? Do you use those terms in your classes? Like, do you have to deal with them actually? And what is IT, teaching English for IT about?
I guess that I will address that question that way. It would be great if you know at least something, if you can differentiate between front end and back end. That's already cool. You don't need to know a lot. And believe me, if you don't understand something, they will be really happy to explain it to you. there are still a lot of terms that I don't understand. But right now, my attitude to it is a little bit different. I just ask my students, oh, could you please explain that curious word? Wow, that's cool. Now I know it. And I guess IT professionals, they are really open-minded people. They are constantly learning, and sometimes they really enjoy explaining some terms. So don't be afraid. You will learn quite a lot of cool new things for yourself.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have a lot of thank you words from our participants today. I guess we covered all questions that we had there. Thank you very much, Luba, for sharing with us your experience and resources. Some of them are really new for me, and I hope I can use them in my teaching practice. Okay, we have some comments for you. Applause for you too. Thank you very much today. And if yeah,
there's only one thing that I would like to leave you all with. You know, I would say that teaching English for AT can be challenging, but it's so inspiring. It can open so many opportunities for you that it's really worth trying it. And the people here, they are amazing. They are open-minded, full of great ideas. So believe me, if you try working with them, you will definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, thank you very much. All right. Okay. Let me share some important information now, so please don't leave now. It's about your certificates if you didn't hear me at the beginning of our meeting. So you will get them as soon as I upload the video to your personal cabinets, and all the materials together with the recording and the certificates will be sent to you immediately today. But you will have to take a short test. There will be a few questions from Lyubov. And after that, you will get your certificates. What I would like to add. So for those of you who are attending our events for the first time, you should know that we have a video library, and you can scan the QR code right now, or you can go to great.university, and this session and all other sessions that we've had before, they are all in the video library, and you can watch them there for free and enjoy your summer and professional development. And one more thing I would like to ask you, oh, not to ask you yet, okay. One more event that I would like to invite you to, it's our traditional conference that we are going to run on the 22nd of August. And you are the first people to learn about it today, because I've just added it to our website, and you can scan the QR code and register. It's absolutely free. We are going to have 4 fruitful sessions on that day with new faces, not the faces you can see on my screen now, because we have a new generation of speakers and trainers that we have prepared for you. They are absolutely new, and the sessions, they provide a fresh look and will give you some inspiration before the new school year kicks off. All right, and now, if you really like this webinar, like you wrote to us in the chat box, please scan the QR code and go to Google Maps and leave a review. And we are interested to know in your honest reviews what you think about our events. And maybe you can suggest the topics that you would like to cover during our upcoming events too. So please scan the QR code and leave your review. We will be really thankful for that. We really read all of them, and we actually want to know if what you love, what you don't like. Just be honest and write everything you think about our events for teachers. And actually, I would like to thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to thank you again, Lyubov, for this wonderful session with wonderful teachers and fruitful things that you shared with them. And if you have any questions about teacher training events, you can contact me directly, or just go to great.university or great.u8, and I will answer all of them in my emails. Yeah, thank you a lot. Thank you, guys. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Have a great day and evening for whom it is more. Yeah.
Time flies.
Yeah.
Giro will be happy to see you somewhere.
Yeah.